Alan, what are we going to discuss today?
Well, I was thinking about learning more about your World War II experience.
One problem in telling memories is that the older you get, the more apt you're going to exaggerate. So I'm going to lean on something that I wrote way back when. And in my book, In the Heart of Showbiz, I do have information about this. So I'm going to comment about this, but I'm also going to show you some pictures on the computer. So let's exchange chairs.
Yes.
Let's see here. I was at Fort Knox in Kentucky in the Army Force for 2 years, and I thought that was the war. But suddenly one day they said, all right, you've been here 2 years, we need more soldiers. So even the company clerk had to go. Well, I didn't know how to shoot a gun. I did not have basic training. I was training in the office to be a company clerk. At any rate, we were shipped out to Fort Dix in New Jersey, and there weren't enough ships to carry us over to Europe. They were called Liberty ships, and this one is the John W. Brown. That's the one that I was on. So once we got to Liverpool, then to Southampton, it was just an overnight trip. Next morning, we were loaded onto here, and within an hour or two, we were on Omaha Beach. But to get from the little Liberty ship to the actual beach, there were little PT boats. And the Coast Guard was the one that got us in. It was like these two little boats, meaning you could get maybe 25 or 50 people
From the main ship.
from the main ship. And you had to crawl down the side of the ship.
How far that has to be by protocol.
They had nets.
Right.
You had to also have your gun and your material with you, your pack. So once we got there, notice these German pilers.
Yes.
That's what I called them. I think others are
Different names.
they're called different names by others. But you can see that we couldn't get in to the beach. The Coast Guard guy, I think he was from the Air Force, he couldn't get in, so he would turn around and try another.
From the big ship.
Try another. From this little.
From those little boats.
This little boat.
Oh, okay.
Well, we were all seasick, going around and around and
Wow.
around.
It was that
Not
difficult.
only were we ready to get onto the beach, we were all seasick.
Wow.
One guy, if I recall correctly, threw up. He was seasick. Anyway, once we got there, then we went up the mountain, and there were no Germans. They'd been
Secured already.
And we had to stay overnight, the first night, in sleeping in pup tents.
Was that what they
Pup
call it?
tent.
Pup tent?
Yeah, pup tents. And this,
Room for two?
Yeah, room for two. And they had to be fastened down. So I had to go around and make sure all these were fastened down. During the night, some of them
That's
didn't.
right, you were in charge,
I
weren't
was
you?
in charge, so that I had to check on each.
You had three stripes?
3 stripes up, 3 down, and a diamond, meaning that's first sergeant.
First sergeant.
The reason I was chosen, somebody had to keep the books. They had to credit these 200 people with having gotten there.
The money, you mean?
Hmm?
The money.
Yeah, the money, and if somebody got killed or
So what
shot,
was the going rate for your life in Normandy Beach?
well, if you, for example, had been shot, and I didn't make a record of that, you wouldn't get
Paid.
Paid today
And how much was
at a
that? Do you remember?
veterans hospital. Well, no, we didn't know. No. But once up there, an Adjutant General drove up in a Packard, and he was looking for the smith who could type 113 words a minute. That's how many.
On those old typewriters.
The old.
The one that you have to really press down,
Yes,
and you were
yeah.
already doing 113.
Yeah. So I was the one, and he said, "Okay, get in the car." But sir, I'm the acting first sergeant. The lieutenant is out with the company. I have to wait till he comes back, don't I? Because you never tell an adjutant general what to do. So he said, "No, you get in the car," and he left a note saying, "I took Sergeant Smith." And then I was no longer acting first sergeant. I was just a corporal, maybe a sergeant. All right, so we then went on the French Railroad from the beach area to the nearest town, which was Saint Laurent. And that's me in the train, which then was called 40 and 8. Meaning it could hold 40 horses, 40 humans, or 8 horses per
car.
Per car. So the AG actually, the Adjutant General actually picked me up at the end of this. We went, I think, to Chartres, where the beautiful cathedral was. Then he actually put me in the Packard, and we wended our way as far as we could. The Germans had just been kicked out of Paris, but there were no signs. So the driver didn't know where to go. And we just tried to make it to Reims. It was the hard way. But once we got to Reims, fine. First thing we did then was to search for a particular place that the Nazis had had their headquarters. So I just simply walked in where the Nazis had been hours earlier. And they had already stolen all the telephones from the French. So we didn't have to do anything. We just walked in, the offices were all set up. You could pick the phone up and probably somebody would answer in German at the other end. Anyway,